Man, I don't know what's up with that intro music this morning, but not exactly what I was looking for. I didn't preview that before I started. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. Alright. That was church music. Good morning. Welcome to Umfowars Live. It's Monday morning. We took a few days off. I don't remember how many. After that thing, the election or whatnot. And now we're back. It's good to be back. Roads are looking good. Almost up to 30 degrees. Starting to warm up out there. Looks like about 4 or 5 cars on the road. Sun's about to come up, so commute should start picking up there any minute now. All right. So, got a couple news things. Whoops. Let's get right into it. Multnomah County Democratic headquarters vandalized and 3 arrested. So, oh, and the Ducks won. Don't forget the Ducks won. The Ducks beat Stanford last night, so sports update. The Ducks won. All right. The results of the 2020 presidential election did little to calm unrest in Portland. A small group of people marched from Laurelhurst Park in southeast Portland to the Multnomah County Democratic headquarters. That's a weird spot to march to. And at 3500 block of Northeast Sandy, the building was tagged with graffiti and broke several of the building's windows, Portland police said in a release. They then fled the scene toward Laurelhurst Park, but police made targeted arrests of some of the group. 3 people were charged with criminal mischief: James Walker Prettyman, 24, Maximilian Jennings, 22, and Thomas Mullerock, 33, who was also charged with escape. Coin 6 will have more as it develops. So here you can see there's Biden with an anarchy thing. It says no president or something. Right in front of all the Democrat signs. I wonder what oh, it must say fuck Biden. And they just blocked out the part that said fuck. So fuck Biden, anarchy. Here's the windows busted out. Whoops. Right there. That's the perfect metaphor, or whatever, perfect symbol for this revolution right there. There's the leaders of your revolution. Yeah, all cops are bastards, BLM, fuck Biden, no president, I think is what it says. Pretty good. That's the tolerant left for you there after they won. So, the election's over, so the rioting's going to calm down. Right? These people got what they wanted. No. No, it's not. It's not going to calm down. Oh, is there one more picture? Wow, how'd they even get up to paint those ones that big? That's crazy. Huh. Hopefully Hightower goes down and gets some video of the destruction today and we'll be able to check it out. But yeah, so there you go. Multnomah County Democratic headquarters vandalized and 3 arrested. Shocking. Alright, forget that. Let's move on. This is from NPR. Biden's first 100 days. What to expect. Free abortions and a mask mandate. That's what it sounds like. So there's the new president with his girlfriend in the background. I mean, vice president in the background. All right, here we go. President-elect Joe Biden will take office in January with a lot of promises to keep. He has pledged to swiftly enact new policies that veer the U.S. off President Trump's current path. Wonderful. Biden ran a heavily policy-focused campaign, releasing dozens of lengthy and ambitious plans, ranging from large-scale economic and environmental initiatives to broad actions on racial justice, education, and healthcare. A significant amount of Biden's agenda also centers on reversing or updating positions taken by the Trump administration, especially on immigration and foreign policy. Biden also heads into office with strategies to address the COVID-19 crisis and the search for a vaccine. Which we have news announced today that one of the vaccine companies is like 90% success rate or something like that with their COVID thing, their COVID vaccine. The sheer volume of Biden's plans could make it a challenge to execute them all. On immigration alone, he has proposed more than a dozen initiatives to complete within 100 days of taking office, a feat that could prove difficult to execute. As the president-elect sorts through which priorities to push first, he'll need to consider that he is likely to face a divided Congress. Control of the Senate is still up in the air, with 2 Georgia runoff elections set for January, but Republicans are poised to maintain control. Democrats also have a slimmer majority in the House, where the GOP made gains contrary to most party leaders and analysis predictions. Which that's the only anomaly about the entire election that gets me. Like, I know people are really looking into the voter fraud thing and dead people voting and pets voting and whatnot and votes being thrown away. But the part that gets me is that the down ballot races, the Republicans cleaned house, but there was unprecedented number of votes for the presidency, just the presidency. I mean, it's possible, but it seems weird. Just strikes me as odd, you know? Because usually if the down ballot races are winning, then the president will go the same way, but whatever. So where were we? The political dynamic on Capitol Hill means Biden may have to pull back from some policy proposals that many on the left of his party have been pushing on healthcare and the environment. He will likely need to focus more immediately on issues that could attract bipartisan support, such as providing COVID-19 relief and improving U.S. infrastructure. Yeah, the Democrats are pushing hard to get us some COVID money, so I figured now that the corporate class is back in charge that they could end up giving us $1,600 instead of $1,200. We'll see. NPR has taken a look through some of Biden's promises and short-term goals for his presidency, some of which is laid out in a new transition website. Here's what might be coming. I was reading through some of this earlier while I was in the bathroom doing paperwork. COVID-19. Assemble a coronavirus task force during his presidential transition. Just days after becoming president-elect, Biden is expected to announce a team of advisors that will spearhead his pandemic response once he takes office. Okay. On Monday, I will name a group of leading scientists and experts as transition advisors to help take the Biden-Harris COVID plan and convert it into action blueprint that starts on January 20th, 2021, Biden said in his victory speech Sunday night. So he's going to start a task force, okay? Push for immediate coronavirus legislation. As part of this initiative, the president-elect has also promised to begin working on a new coronavirus aid package before officially taking office, vowing to coordinate with state governors, mayors, and other local politicians. I'll ask the new Congress to put a bill on my desk by the end of January with all the resources to see how both our public health and economic response can be seen through the end. All right. Biden's proposed COVID-19 response plan calls for expanding coronavirus testing resources as well as increasing the country's capacity to make personal protective equipment by leveraging the Defense Production Act. He has also backed legislation that would create a separate COVID-19 racial and ethnic disparities task force, with Vice President-elect Kamala Harris proposed in the Senate last spring. As part of the COVID-19 relief package, Biden has in the past called for at least $10,000 in student loan debt to be canceled for all Americans. Okay. Didn't Trump already do the Defense Production Act thing? I thought that was one of the things that Trump was talking about right at the beginning. But I could be wrong. Or Joe Biden just doesn't really have a plan, and it's all the same stuff that we're already doing. Just now it's okay because it's Biden's idea. Release a vaccine distribution plan. Biden has said he'll start working to install an effective distribution plan for a potential COVID-19 vaccine on the first day of his presidency. His plan would spend $25 billion on vaccine production and disbursement, and calls for an eventual vaccine to be free for all Americans. Biden has expressed skepticism over the Trump administration's promises to quickly provide a vaccine. Trump has said he'll have a vaccine ready for distribution by the end of 2020. Listen to science by rejoining the WHO and keeping Dr. Fauci as a close advisor. As president, Biden says he will mend the U.S. relationship with the World Health Organization, rejoining the body on his first day in office. Trump pulled out of the WHO over the summer. Biden also said that he plans to immediately ask Dr. Fauci, the government's top infectious disease expert, to stay in his post as director of National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, a job he's had since 1984. Trump had hinted that if he won election, he might fire Fauci. Oh, here we go. Okay, economy. Reverse Trump's corporate tax cut. Oh, good. Oh, good. Let's get into the good stuff here. Biden has pledged that on his first day as president, he will raise corporate income taxes to 28%, compared with the current 21% set by the GOP-led tax cuts of 2017. Also, this promise falls under Biden's larger proposed tax plan, which stresses that Americans making less than $400,000 would not pay more in taxes. Bullshit. That's not how it works, Joe. Environment. Make the U.S. an international leader on climate change, which we already are. Like, if these people wanted to be honest with themselves, any of these green activists and whatnot, the United States is pretty much a leader around the world. It's part of the reason Donald Trump said we're not going to be part of a lot of these pacts and agreements, because we end up doing all the work and spending all the money here in the United States, and places like India and China just continue to pollute like a motherfucker, and we're supposed to ride a horse and buggy so the environment doesn't heat up 1 degree or something. I don't know. In one of his longest standing campaign promises, Biden heads into office planning to immediately re-enter the U.S. into the landmark Paris Climate Agreement of 2015. Trump's move to pull the U.S. out of the agreement became official earlier this month, after a mandatory 1-year waiting period that started when the president formally notified the United Nations. So, that's what I was talking about. Like, we're just required to pay money and to do all the effort. Other places are not.
Where's Frank?
Where were we at? So, Racial equality, extend the Voting Rights Act. Biden has pushed for the passage of lawsuits to strengthen the Voting Rights Act. Legislation to do this passed the U.S. House last year, but not the Senate. Biden advocated for extending the original 1965 legislation following the death of civil rights icon Rep. John Lewis of Georgia. Biden has said that on his first day as comprehensive immigration changes. Biden has said that on his first day as president, he will produce comprehensive immigration legislation that creates a pathway to citizenship for 11 million immigrants living in the U.S. illegally. It would also provide a pathway to citizenship for people commonly known as Dreamers, who are part of the Deferred Action Childhood Arrival Program. Biden has additionally pledged to make DACA program permanent on his first day in office, a move that comes after years of Trump administration attempts to rescind the program. Immigration, stop family separations at the U.S.-Mexico border. The president-elect has vowed to stop the practice of separating immigrant families trying to enter the U.S. from Mexico. On day one as president, Biden has said he plans to pass an executive order establishing a task force focused on returning children and parents separated at the border. And immigration, and Trump's executive order banning travels from some Muslim-majority countries. Biden says he will immediately rescind current restrictions that bar people in some Muslim-majority countries from traveling or immigrating to the U.S. He supports legislation that would outlaw such restrictions and has vowed to sign off on it as president. So, that's a weird one because that's the list of countries that was given to Obama and Biden when they were in office that was suggested that they stop travel from due to extremism. And they didn't bother acting on it when Biden and Obama were in office, and then Trump did. Same with the child separation things. That was all stuff that took place during the Obama-Biden administration, and now they're blaming Trump for when Trump just took over their policies and continued their shit they were doing. But Joe Biden's not going to tell you that. Neither is the TV. All right. Let's see. What Biden says he'll do during his first 100 days. Didn't we already read the same shit? Reverse a slew of Trump policies, including the construction of U.S.-Mexican border wall. Oh, that's a good one. Within the first 100 days of administration, Biden says he wants to reform the U.S. asylum system and the treatment of people at the border with Mexico, specifically calling for a stop to the Trump administration's migrant protection protocols, as well as the policy of metering asylum cases. The president-elect also pledges to take away funding going toward continued construction of a wall along the southern U.S. border. Biden says he wouldn't take down parts of the wall that have already been built. The president-elect's immigration plan also would increase government supervision over U.S. immigration and customs enforcement, as well as customs and border protection, calling for the need to hold personnel accountable for inhumane treatment. This comes as a whistleblower complaint was filed in September concerning medical conditions at a Georgia immigrant detention center. Criminal justice. Increased police reform. In response to the national outcry that erupted over police killings of George Floyd and other black Americans, Biden said he will institute a National Police Oversight Commission, more government, within his first 100 days of taking office. This is part of a larger plan to help overhaul policing, including investing $300 million into community policing measures across the U.S. and tasking the Justice Department with investigating possible issue of police and prosecutorial misconduct. All right. Criminal justice, enact comprehensive criminal justice reform. As the first step in a set of goals addressing prison reform and crime prevention, Biden says he will quickly push Congress to pass the Safe Justice Act, proposed by Rep. Bobby Scott, Democrat of Virginia. The legislation would include taking steps to reduce the use of mandatory minimum sentencing for nonviolent offenses and institute policies geared at lowering recidivism. The legislation would okay. Where was I? The legislation would include steps. Oops, my mouse isn't working right. The legislation would include steps to reduce the use of mandatory minimum sentencing for nonviolent offenses and institute policies geared at lowering recidivism. So, Joe Biden has been responsible for mandatory minimums. Proudly, he passed mandatory minimums, crime bill. Look it up. So, this guy, just typical asshole, talks out of both sides of his mouth. All right. Repair alliances and plan a global summit for democracy. Biden has said he intends to pick up the pieces of Donald Trump's broken foreign policy, vowing to reach out to U.S. allies soon after taking office. I bet. Within his first year, Biden wants to plan an international summit where Democratic leaders will discuss ways to push back against corruption and authoritarian practices, as well as expand human rights. Biden also wants to organize a Climate World Summit to assist nations with high carbon emissions to take climate action. Questions remain about how either summit would be doable during a global pandemic. Other potential early policy steps. It sounds like they don't have anything really concrete. They just have a bunch of shit they're thinking might work, but my money's on nothing happening. Heading into next year, it's not clear when we might start seeing some of Biden's big plans for the economy, environment, education system, and healthcare take form, especially as the president-elect may enter the White House with a divided Congress. That said, these plans have become substantial parts of his campaign, and his administration is likely to begin addressing them. Economy, make major investments in U.S. economy to boost domestic growth. Biden hopes to create 5 million jobs through a series of large investments geared at benefiting different business areas. I wonder if it's the businesses that his son and brother are going to work at. His proposed Made in America plan would pour $400 billion into procurement measures to boost domestic manufacturing, as well as an additional $300 billion into research and development. Sort of a Make America Great Again kind of thing. America first kind of thing. Good job, Joe. Environment. Here we go. Start on a $2 trillion climate plan. Okay. Makes sense. The president-elect also heads into office with an extensive set of environmental goals proposed through his clean energy plan, which includes getting the country to net zero carbon emissions by 2050. That's not very long. The proposal calls for $2 trillion investment throughout his term to boost reliance on clean energy and climate sustainable practices. Biden also says that 40% of the funding will be used to support communities disproportionately affected by climate change, as laid out in his environmental justice plan. All right. A large part of Biden's healthcare plan, healthcare, build on the ACA if it isn't too late. A large part of Biden's healthcare proposal offers a new public option plan that builds on the existing Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, but the fate of the ACA remains in question during the rest of Trump's term into next year. On November 10th, the Supreme Court is set to hear arguments against the ACA from the Trump administration and multiple states. If the justices side with Trump next year when they make their decision, Biden's plans for health care could completely change. Biden ain't gonna do shit for health care. Make first moves in large education agenda. Biden has laid out extensive plans for changes to higher education, as well as pre-K through high school. But he has not expressed many clear deadlines during his first year. Notably, the president-elect has expressed support for the College for All Act proposed in 2017 by Senator Bernie Sanders and Pramila Jayapal from Washington, which would eliminate tuition at public colleges and universities for families making up to $125,000. Biden also is advocating for private, historically black colleges and universities and minority serving institutions to be tuition free. So there we go. There's a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo that probably amounts to jack shit. So there's our communism. Pretty stoked. Can't wait. Let's head back over here. Now that the sun's up, check the roads. All right. Almost 30. Getting warm. It's foggy. Cold. Oh man, freeway's loading up. Got about 8 cars on the freeway now. It's rush hour. If you're heading out to the freeway, watch out for the other 6 cars. Turn your lights on in the fog. Let's see if we got any other news to read real quick. I'm going to wrap this one up kind of early today. My mouse is being a bee. Plus, I got to go feed the chickens. So, is there anything else we missed? Markets are up. Pfizer said that the data shows their vaccine shots may be 90% effective at preventing COVID. So that's pretty good. Michelle Bachmann released a video asking for God to smash the delusion, Father, that Joe Biden is our president. He is not. All right. Yeah. So, doesn't look like much more going on. Kind of boring out here this morning. I figured with it being Monday and all, it'd be more exciting out there, but seems to be some internet outages. Huh. Lots of financial sites getting hammered. Interesting. Let's do this real quick before we go. If I can bring it up. What's happening here? It's interesting. Interactive Brokers Edison, I think that's the power company, isn't it? TD Bank, Ally, Cloudflare. Huh. Discord, that's the one I'm hearing the most about. Interesting. So, that's about all I've got for today. I'm going to head out. I got to go feed the chickens. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll get some more going. I took those couple days off and went to the woods. Got away from all this stuff for a while because most of it doesn't really matter. The elections, Biden, Trump, majority of that stuff doesn't affect your everyday life, even though they try to make it seem like it does. What those idiots do, and however they decide to waste your tax dollars, they really don't. They really don't give any shits about you. You still got to go to work tomorrow. You still got to pay the bills. Citibank still needs their interest. And that's just the way it's going to be. So, stay safe and have a great day, everybody. I'll see you in the morning.